Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to the Sandwich of Coherency. So, let's just go ahead and jump right into this. Now, on a typical basis, we try to look to the future and see what lies ahead, what we think may happen. But today we're going to do something different. It's not that we have never done it, but it's been a while, so we're going to do it again. We're going to do a little bit of time traveling. Now, those that are familiar with my own personal ramblings, you are quite aware back in 2020, I had this idea that there's no way Joe Biden is going to make it 4 years. And I clearly think at that time that by 2022, they would find some reason to have to remove him. Now, I personally believed that would be because of his cognitive decline, because it was quite apparent long before he even set foot into the White House as the president. Now, I thoroughly believe that that's going to be the case, and the problem, I think, for those that wanted something like that to happen is the fact that the vice president that will be taking charge is worse for the job, and that's saying a lot because I believe she's in full control of her faculties. Now, I'm not trying to be mean, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm insulting, because I'm not. And I've said this quite often. The problem with Joe Biden is that he obviously is suffering from dementia, some sort of cognitive decline. It is absolutely obvious. And the people who keep championing the idea that he isn't, and he is A-OK 100%, are only saying that because the absolutely terrible policies that are having these negative effects on the United States that hasn't been seen in decades are because of the fact that he is in cognitive decline. Now let's think, before the election, everybody jumped behind Greta Thunberg, and the fact that same with AOC, them all screaming that in 10 years or something, the world's going to end and all that nonsense. And we can't wait till 2030. We have to start now. It has to be done now. We must stop all the oil and gas and everything. It has to happen now. Okay, now, millions of people got behind that idea. Okay, and everybody's entitled to their free will, but everybody also has the gift of being able to think for themselves. And here's the thing. Many people jumped behind that. Many people got behind that idea. Okay? Joe Biden ran on that platform. He told you from the beginning, he's going to shut it all down. That was the goal. That was the plan. Day one. We've talked about this before, but it seems like people just aren't getting it. People are complaining about the situation at hand with the inflation, with the high increasing rates of fuel at the pump. But 81 million votes. This is what you voted for. You voted for his choices. And the thing is that he told you exactly what he was going to do people rallied behind that idea and said, yes, let's do it. Those on the opposing side said that this is not going to be a good idea. This is not going to work. This is terrible. You're going to regret this. And those on the left continue to say, well, down with America. Screw America. They keep saying they hate America. They hate the military. They hate all of those things. They want it to fall apart. Well, these are the beginning stages of falling apart. And you have these high prices for fuel and you don't like it. You have these increased prices for food and you don't like it. But this is what people voted for. You scream, screw the military. You hate the military. And well, you're getting your way. The United States apparently is changing its order. I guess I forget how they explain it, but the smallest the United States military's been since World War II or something. Fewer and fewer people are joining the United States military. But people keep screaming. They want to go send the U.S. military to fight the Russians in Ukraine. And again, they won't join, but for some reason they're flying over there as civilians to try and fight. And as reports have come out, they have been trying to escape because they got there and realized that war is not like Call of Duty, no matter how large your projection screen is. But I don't want to ramble too far. Let's do a little time traveling, as I previously said. And I do enjoy playing the host Rita from Sky News. She does give some interesting takes, but I thought these are like stamps in time. And this is what I guess many politicians fail to remember, is the simple fact that we have these stamps in time that we can go back and see exactly what's going on. But I want to play something for you and tell me if this sounds familiar.
But first, let's check in on the most profoundly confused world leader we've ever seen, US President Joe Biden, who has had another week of gaffes, confused moments, and plummeting poll numbers. One reason for his lack of popularity is the inflation crisis. It's an issue that impacts every single American and deserves far greater coverage. But just don't ask the president to articulate what is happening and why.
One of the reasons why I decided to talk about the need to deal with the operation and the gouging that occurs in some of the pricing of beef and chicken and other things is that that's why that's why I indicated to you we're going to look at whether or not there's a violation of antitrust laws and what they're doing.
Prices of chickens and violation of antitrust laws. Okay, Joe, please continue.
I think that anyone who would prefer, as bad as things are in terms of prices hurting families now, trade this Thanksgiving for last Thanksgiving.
And we all pretend that poor man is cognitively sound and up to the job. Given his propensity for gaffes, it's perhaps safer to have the president sleep through major meetings like the climate summit. Here is Sleepy Joe living up to his name at COP26, and watch for the aide who runs in to wake him when he dozes off for the second time.
Well, we don't have to continue further with that one because, I mean, this is, if you were to believe that, hearing that was today based on what he was saying, you'd be not faulted. Now, she gave it away. It was at the summit. That's how you can easily tell that this is from last year. And that is from November 5th, 2021. That was him then. So let's listen to this next one because this is him in January.
But first, the US has learned the hard way that elections have consequences. The country is right now in the grips of a border crisis with more than 200,000 illegal immigrants encountered crossing the southern border. That's just in a month. And that's just the ones they encounter. Inflation has soared to levels not seen for 40 years. There are record high COVID numbers, despite the fact Joe Biden was elected on a platform of shutting down the virus. That's what he promised to do. And there are growing social problems, including crime soaring, particularly in Democrat strongholds. And through it all, we have a president that is clearly not all there. The cognitive decline is obvious and, frankly, a little sad. Here he is asked a simple question about schools reopening. See if you can understand his answer.
Oh, I think it could be, but I hope in God that look, maybe I'm kidding myself, but as time goes on, the voter who is just trying to figure out, as I said, how to take care of their family, put three squares on the table, stay safe, be able to pay their mortgage or their rent, etc., is becoming much more informed on the motives of some of the political players and some of the political parties.
The most basic of questions from hand-picked journalists, and he still can't articulate a simple message. Not only does he struggle to answer the simple questions, but he also has a habit of going off on odd, incoherent tangents.
I mean, the idea that the American public are trying to sift their way through what's real and what's fake. And I don't think I've never seen a time when the political coverage,
You can see what I'm talking about there. Remember Donald Trump once walked slowly down a steep ramp and the American media were immediately questioning whether he was in ill health and physically capable of performing the job? But when it comes to Biden, the bulk of the mainstream media pretend all is okay.
And that is actually true. I mean, but this is in January. You know, and at that point, they were already clocking 200,000 people in a month. And they're set to add another 300,000 once Title 42 ends. But I must say, because it has to be said, this is the guy who you gave 81 million votes. And the thing is that it's this condition of him, whatever he is going through, is obviously getting worse. And the rest of the world sees this. And the simple fact that people keep turning a blind eye like it isn't happening is beyond a problem. And then you have recently at the recent shindig at the White House where he was absolutely ignored by his own people. You see him walking around almost looking distressed due to the simple fact that no one is acknowledging him. This is a shindig at the White House, the president's party, and no one is acknowledging the president. Even Barack Obama shunned him. The jabs taken in his little comedy, I guess that's what you want to call it, because this is no longer comedic. This is serious. This is problematic. And something has to be done. But the sad part is to remove him is to put in place an equally terrible choice. But again, I have one more to play for you, and this is absolutely interesting. This is from today. This is April 6th, and it's interesting because the title of it is "You should be at home with the warm cup of soup." Now, I said he should be at home before with the warm cup of hot cocoa. So, obviously, I'm not the only person on the planet that feels this way. But let's just go ahead and just listen to this very quickly so you can have an understanding of, see that there's no change in his condition for the better, but mentally it's getting worse and worse.
And now to the US. And today it was hard not to feel a little bit sorry for President Joe Biden. Here is a man in obvious physical and cognitive decline, looking dazed and confused as everyone fusses over his former boss, Barack Obama, as if he were still president.
And that's just what they're saying down under. But the sentiment is shared by many countries around the world. They are looking at the United States as an empire in ruin. There is no leader. It has no guidance. The Democrats are running free with no... And it's almost impossible to rein them in. The Republicans have done a good job, but even some of them are also very loony. Because many of them are way too far on the other side of the aisle. And they refuse to give any leeway. And as terrible as that is, it seems to be one of the only things keeping those way on the left in check enough so that they do not absolutely destroy the United States in less than 4 years. Make no mistake that there's a oil reserve set aside in Alaska that I think they did that in the early 1900s, maybe 1920s, something like that. I could be off about that, but I'm it's early 1900s. Set aside specifically for this type of situation. Well, they'll not touch that because the Democrats won't do that. It's as if they really get off on their citizens, their constituents suffering. But I want people to be aware of this. It's not all doom and gloom. Because, again, as you've heard me say it before, there are elections coming up. So many things are going to change in November. We'll see how that goes. But as well, it's spring, I believe. And it's starting to look very nice outside. It's warming up. Fresh air. Go out and enjoy yourself. Despite all the things that are happening in the government, we still must keep an eye on them, but we must not forget to take the time to go out and enjoy our lives. To be reminded that there are beautiful things in this world worth fighting for and defending. Not everything is negative. Yes, the things that some people do are, but we cannot let those things ruin our days. We cannot give them free rent in our heads. We must address them on our own time when we're comfortable. And save room for the light and joy that we all deserve. But I thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.